Hello, my awesome students. Let's talk about decimals and fractions as percents today. So remember the baby, with his little diaper. Okay, today we're going to talk about why the diaper box. So take a look at example 1, writing decimals as percents. Well, notice how the decimals, I put a D, and I want to change it to percents, that's a P. Then I have to go right, like a diaper. D-I-A-P-E-R, diaper. So decimal to percent, we're going to move to the right. So take a look at A, 1.09 as a percent. I would write 1.09, then I multiply it by 100%. Remember, 100% is just the number 1, so I'm not changing the value. But when I multiply by 100, remember, we grab the decimal point and move it 2 places to the right. So if I want to write 1.09 as a percent, it becomes 109%. Take a look at B. If I have 0.3, well, if I have 0.3 and I want to change it into a percent, I just multiply it by 100%, which is just 1. And so then I grab the decimal point, move it 2 places to the right, so that would give me 30%. So 0.3 is the same as 30%. Okay, let's do a couple of these together. So I'm going to grab my red pen and take a look at guided practice. We're changing the decimal to a percent, so we're going to go to the right. So look at number 1. I grab the decimal point and I move it 2 places to the right, and so that would give me 78%. I have to put the percent symbol on, okay? And so take a look at number 2. Grab your red, grab the decimal point, and move it 2 places to the right. And so that would give us 50%. So put 50 and don't forget your percent sign on there. And then if I'm doing number 3, I grab the decimal point and I move it 2 places to the right. So that would give me 920%. And then if I take a look at number 4, I grab my decimal point and again I move it 2 places to the right. And so that would give me 40.1%. And I've just changed all of those into percentages. Okay, so take a look at example 2, writing fractions as percents. Now notice fractions is per 100, and I'm going to change that to a percent. And the percent symbol means per 100. So take a look at letter A. I have -2 over 5. So -2 over 5. The fastest way to make any fraction into a percent is to try to make it per 100. So make the denominator become 100. So take a look at the 5. I know I could multiply 5 by 20 to make it become 100. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So -2 times 20 gives me -40. Since it's -40 per 100, that would just be -40%. Take a look at letter B. Let's say I have 78 over 600. Well, remember my goal is to make the denominator, the bottom number, 100. So if I'm taking a look at 600, I would tell myself, well, I just have to divide by 6 to make it become 100. So whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So 78 divided by 6 would give me 13. So I have 13 per 100, which is just 13%. And then take a look at C. I have 9 over 4. And again, I want to make the denominator become 100. So if I had 4 times 25, that would give me 100. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. 9 times 25 gives me 225. So I have 225 over 100, which is just 225%. So let's try a couple of these together and take a look at number 5, 7 over 10. Well, I could multiply the 10 by 10 to make it become 100. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So that would just give me 70 over 100, and that would just give me 70%. And I would just box my answer there. Okay, and then take a look at number 6. I see 11 over 25. So I just asked myself, well, I could make 25 become 100 by multiplying by 4. And so whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. And that would just give me 44 over 100. So 44 per 100 is just 44%. And then I could box my answer. Take a look at number 7. 3 over 50. Well, I take a look at the 50 and I say, well, I could multiply 50 by 2 to make it become 100. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So that would just give me 6 over 100, and 6 per 100 is just 6%. And I would box my answer. Now take a look at number 8. 8 is not as easy. See how there's an 8 in the denominator? Well, there isn't any whole complete number I could multiply by 8 to make it become 100. So when that happens, remember, if you get stuck, just think in and out, like In-N-Out burgers. So we're going to put the 7 on the inside, and we're going to put the 8 on the outside, and I'll do that up here. So let's put the 7 on the inside, let's put the 8 on the outside, and I'm going to add zeros. Remember, I add 3 zeros. Sometimes I need more, sometimes I need less. And then I'm going to grab my blue, bring that decimal straight up. So 8 does not go into 7, but 8 goes into 70 8 times. So 8 times 8 is 64. And I subtract, I get a 6, and I bring down that 0. So 8 into 60 would be 7. So 7 times 8 is 56, and I subtract, I get 4, and I bring down. And so 8 into 40 would be 5. 5 times 8 is 40, and I subtract, and nothing goes into that. I'm done. So now, remember, that's a decimal, but to make a decimal into a percent, I have to grab that decimal point and move it 2 places to the right. So this would give me 87.5%. And now I've made all of my fractions into percentages. Okay, let's do this guided practice together. They want us to order the numbers from least to greatest. Now here's the deal. You have to make them all be the same. You can either turn them all into decimals and compare, or turn them all into percentages and compare. I'm probably going to do percentages just because it's a little bit faster, but you can make them all decimals and compare. It's totally up to you. So take a look at number 9. I'm going to grab my red, and I'm going to make all of these become percentages. So 0.165 as a percentage, I would grab the decimal point and move it 2 places to the right. So that would give me 16.5%. 16.5%. And then for 4 over 25, to change that to a percentage, I would just look at the denominator and say, I want to make it 100. 25 times 4 would make that 100. So whatever I do on the bottom, I have to do on the top. And so that would give me 16 over 100, which is 16%. Oops, percent. There we go. And then for 1.5%, it's already a percentage. So now I just have to compare these three to put them in order. So 16.5%, 16%, and 1.5%. Well, obviously, the smallest number is the 1.5%. So I'm going to write that first. 1.5% is the smallest. And then the next number I would have to write is a 16%. But remember, they gave it to me in the form of a fraction, 4 over 25. And then the biggest number there is 16.5%, and they gave that to me as a decimal, so I'll put it back in its original form, 0.165. And there I have all of those numbers in order from least to greatest. So changing them all to a percent was pretty fast. And I think I'm going to do that on number 10 as well. So let me grab my my pen here. So 25% I don't have to change. That's already a percent. To change the 0.02 to a percent, it starts as a decimal, so I'm going to grab the decimal point and move it 1, 2 places to the right. So that would make that just 2%. And then I'm going to change 1/5 to a percent. So I have to write it as per 100. So I know 5 times 20 would give me 100 on the bottom. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. Multiply that by 20. So that would give me 20 over 100, which is just 20%. So now I can compare these, and I'm comparing the 25%, the 2%, and the 20%. So it's really easy to put them in order. So the smallest number there is the 2%, which they gave me as the decimal, 0.02. Then the next number I would write is the 20%, and they gave that to me like a fraction at first, the 1 over 5. And the biggest number there was a 25%, which they gave me as a percentage originally, 25%. So there you go, putting them all in order. So it was really fast to put them in order by changing them all to percentages and then comparing.